So currently, when we navigate from a summary list into a detail view, currently we're doing that by displaying in the details view, we display the object that we're passing as an argument, as a parameter, right? But more typically, what we'd like to be able to do is fetch the actual object from the server, right? Because usually the object that we get from our parent list is a summary. It doesn't have all the fields we want, right? We want to populate the larger object. So what we typically might want to do is fetch the whole object, right? So first we'll need a service to allow us to do that. And the service might be something like this, where is if you give me the application ID, right, I'll retrieve that one application and retrieve you the bigger object, right, that has all the fields that you might want. Obviously, we don't have the Mongoose schema for this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same array, and I'm going to return the object that has a particular ID, right? The one that matches. That's the one I'm going to return. Okay. So let's implement that. We can say response JSON. Which application do we want to return? We want to return. Let's see. We're going to take the applications. We're going to filter this, meaning I don't want all of them. I only want the one that the application is equal to the request.param. Is it param or params on the server? I forget. Is it with an S? Params? And it's the AID, application ID. So there we go. So the filter is going to filter that out, and then it's going to send it back. All right, so let's try it out. Let's restart the server. Restart the server. So here's the API. This returns all the applications. But if we filter it and say I only want the one whose ID is 234, it comes back as empty. Huh? Did I do this? Application? Where application? Wait, is it param or params? I think it's params. I'm pretty sure it's params. Maybe just equal. We'll try that again. Still. Let me print this out. Filter. And let me step through this. Let me see. ID. Let's print this. Let's console this. Make sure we're getting here. Console log params ID. Console log that. Let's restart. Let's try it again. Okay, 234 is getting there. 234 is getting there. Am I using filter right here? Applications. Filter. Filter means I only want the one for which this is true. No? Isn't that how filter works in JavaScript? Let me verify that. JavaScript filter. Filter, yada yada yada. So I want words.filter, words with word length greater than 6. So exuberant, destruction, and present are all greater than 6. So yeah, that's correct. Words.filter. What is it that you don't like? Where application ID is equal to AID. I hate computers. They're always right. Okay, so let's try it again. Let's stop. Let's restart. There we go. Right. So now we're getting the single object. But typically, notice that it's an array of a single object. Now we know there's only one of these objects, so probably what I'd like to be able to do is just say, just return to me the very first one, right? And probably we'll probably do some validation, make sure that that's not empty, the array is not empty, and whatnot. I'm overlooking all that. Okay. So let's stop that. Let's restart. So now the API indeed just returns the object, right, instead of an array of elements. Right. Okay. So excellent. So we have both, right? I can retrieve all of them, or I can retrieve a particular one, right? Okay. So now that we have that, let's go back to the client and rewrite the editor so that when the component loads, it retrieves the actual object, right? The actual application. So this will be something like component did mount, and what it'll do is it'll do a fetch. It'll go to that API. So HTTP : localhost 3000 API / application, and then followed by the ID application followed by the AID. Now the AID is part of the parameters, right, that we passed in. So that's what? That's let's see, let or const AID will be from the properties, right? So the properties dot navigation dot get param, and this returns the application, and then the ID. There we go. So we have the ID, and we're going to use it as a query, right? That goes out to the server. Oops, I probably want a body here. There we go. So here's fetch, and what we're going to do is that we're going to parse the response as JSON, and then just once we have the actual application object, we're going to store it in the state. So it's going to be part of this stateful component. So we'll say something so this dot set state, and maybe just set the actual application in there, in the state. So the whole application is the state of this component. We can now then here, instead of the form input using the parameter, we can instead now use the state. We can say this dot state dot title. See that? Because now the application has been set in the as part of the state, and we can just retrieve the title for that particular application. Right? So there we have. Let's see if this works. Let's refresh. Checkers. There we go. So now this checkers is behaving identical to before, but this checker is no longer being passed as a parameter. Instead, we're going out to the server to fetch this and retrieve it. Obviously, we only displaying the title, but certainly you could have tons and tons of other fields here that you might have not had in the application that you were passing as an argument, as a parameter, right? So, this allows you to implement it in a different way.